Good day, everyone. I am Rechelle T. Fabre, and I am going to discuss the literature of Korea. But first, let's talk about its location. Korea is nestled in the heart of East Asia, a region known for its vibrant history and dynamic cultures. It's a geographically significant location, bridging the gap between powerful and influential nations. Korea is also known by a beautiful nickname, the land of the morning calm. This evocative name speaks to the serene beauty of the Korean landscape and the peaceful spirit of its people. The very name Korea has an interesting history. Its modern spelling evolved from an earlier form, Korea, which is Corea, which appeared in English writings as far back as 1614. The spelling we use today, Korea, became widely accepted in the 19th century. In terms of size, Korea covers a substantial area of 84,616 square miles. This land encompasses a diverse range of landscapes from towering mountains to fertile and stunning coastlines. Finally, it's important to note that water plays a vital role in Korea's ecosystem. Approximately 2.8% of the country's land area consists of water resources, highlighting the importance of water conservation and management in this dynamic nation. Korea's geographical features are quite unique. Firstly, let's consider its borders. The Amnok River, also known as the Yellow River, forms a natural boundary separating Korea from China to the northeast. Further to the northwest, Tumin River, also known as the Duman, marks the border between Korea, China, and Russia. These rivers play a significant role in shaping Korea's geopolitical landscape. Moreover, Korea's geographical position as a peninsula is crucial to understanding its history and culture. Surrounded by water on three sides, it's bordered by the Yellow Sea to the west, the East China Sea and Korea Strait to the south, and the Sea of Japan to the east. This peninsular nature has influenced its maritime traditions and trade relationship throughout history. The proximity to these bodies of water has been instrumental in shaping Korea's economic and cultural development. Let's now continue our exploration of Korea's geography by focusing on two prominent features. First, the Mount Pekto. Standing tall at 2,744 meters, holds the distinction of being the highest mountain in Korea. A significant point to note is that border with China runs through this majestic peak, making it a landmark of international significance. Moving to the coast, we find the Dohaejin. This refers to the southern and southwestern coastline of Korea, which are characterized by a well-developed Ria coastline. Ria coastline are known for their intricate network of inlets and bays created by the partial submergence of river valleys. This unique coastal geography has shaped Korea's maritime history and provided numerous natural harbors. The religious landscape of Korea is rich and complex. It was shaped by a fascinating interplay of traditions. Confucianism has historically held a dominant position, but its influence has been interwoven with significant contributions from Buddhism, Taoism, and Korean shamanism. This belief system have coexisted sometimes complementing each other, forming a unique religious tapestry. In South Korea, Buddhism has historically competed with Confucianism for influence. However, in North Korea, religious practice has been largely suppressed by the government. Despite this suppression in the north and the rise of Christianity in the south, the underlying influence of Korean shamanism, Mahayana Buddhism, Confucianism, and Taoism remains a vital aspect of Korean culture. These traditions have peacefully coexisted for centuries, even persisting amidst the significant westernization brought about by Christian missionary work in South Korea. This demonstrates the enduring strength and resilience of Korea's diverse spiritual heritage. Korean Peninsula is divided into two separate countries. To the south is the South Korea, officially known as the Republic of Korea, and to the north is North Korea, officially known as the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. The image clearly shows the distinct flags of each nation, visually representing this division. Let's now turn our attention to South Korea. South Korea's capital and largest city is the Seoul, a bustling metropolis. Its population is approximately 51 people. Beyond its size and political importance, South Korea is globally recognized for its vibrant culture, particularly its Korean pop music or the K-pop, and its popular television series and movies, which have gained immense international popularity. South Korea also boasts stunning natural beauty, exemplified by Jeju Island, Mount Sora, and the magnificent Gyeongbokgung Palace. Furthermore, South Korea is renowned for its technological prowess, with companies like Samsung being the global leaders and its cosmetic products often popularized by Korean stars and actresses. South Korea's education system is structured as follows: 6 years of elementary school, 3 years of middle school, and 3 years of high school. Education at the elementary and middle school levels is compulsory and largely free, with students only required to pay a small fee known as the school operation support fee. The country's commitment to education is evident in its high international rankings. According to the Program for International Student Assessment, or the PISA, coordinated by the OECD, South Korea's science education is ranked among the top 3 globally. Furthermore, South Korea consistently ranks highly in mathematics and literature and holds the top spot worldwide in problem-solving skills. Turning our attention to North Korea, we find that its capital city is the Pyongyang. The total population is estimated to be 25 million, while the majority of the population is of Korean descent. There are also small communities of ethnic Chinese and Japanese individuals residing in the country. A noteworthy feature of North Korea is the presence of the world's fourth tallest flagpole, which flies a massive 270-kilogram flag. This impressive structure stands 160 meters tall and is located over Kjongdong, a village often referred to as the Peace Village near Panmunjom in the Korean demilitarized delimit nam nam na wala ko kalitos de demilitarized zone demilitarized zone demilitarized zone demilitarized zone demilitarized zone.
Hey everyone, I'm Rosemarie Bucane, and I'm the next reporter. Now I'm gonna continue to discuss about the Korea. Now let's delve into the education system of North Korea. Children go through 1 year of kindergarten, 4 years of primary education, 6 years of secondary education, and then of universities, which would include 4 years. Consists primarily of universal state-funded schooling by the government. The national literacy rate for citizens in years of age above is over 99%, meaning most of the Korean people are very literate because 99% means that majority of their people are able to read and calculate basic arithmetic problems. The most prestigious university is Kim Il-sung University, which is located at the capital city, Pyongyang. Language. So Korean is the official language of both North and South Korea. Worldwide, there are up to 80 million speakers of the Korean language. Korean has borrowed much vocabulary from the Chinese or even the vocabulary in Chinese model. So as we know, the East Asian countries, China, Korea, and Japan is very closely tied to each other. And even their language is, they're borrowing languages each other. As you can see in Japanese language, there is a clear evidence of influence by the Chinese because some of the characters are literally borrowed from China's writing system. But it is different for Korea because Korea might have borrowed uh, much vocabulary or created vocabulary on.
I am Rosalyn Laniba, and I will continue to discuss the topic. And now I will discuss the traditional Korean dance Jinju Gyeum. A traditional dress for a woman is called a hanbok. A hanbok has a short jacket called a jeogori and a long skirt called a china. Men also wore a jeogori but much longer. Men wore baggy pants, which were comfortable to wear when farming and sitting on the floor. Traditional house Korean dynasty, Goryeo or Koryo dynasty, found in 918, founded by Emperor Taejo. It replaced Silla as the ruling dynasty of Korea. Goryeo land was at first what is now Korea, South Korea, and about one-third of North Korea. Goryeo is a short form of Goguryeo and first used during the time of the King Jiangsu. Joseon Dynasty. Yi Seong-gi founded the Joseon Dynasty and moved the capital from Kaesong to Hanseong, formerly Hanyang, modern-day Seoul, and built Gyeongbokgung Palace. It was founded aftermath of the overthrow of the Goryeo dynasty. Most notable among them was Seeing the Great, who promote Hanwoo Korean alphabet. Korean War. In 1945, with the surrender of Japan, the United Nations developed plans for a truce administration. The Soviet Union administering the peninsula north of the 38th parallel and United States administering the south. Politics of Cold War resulted in the 1948 establishment of two separate governments, North Korea and South Korea. During the Korean War 1950 to 53, more than 1 million people died, and the 3 years of fighting throughout the nation effectively destroyed most cities. The war ended in an armistice agreement that approximately the military demarcation line. The Korean War led to the development of literature centered on the wounds and chaos of was. Much of the post-war literature in South Korea deals with the daily lives of ordinary people and their struggles with national pain. The collapse of the traditional Korean value system is another common theme of the time.
Literature. Early Korean literature is characterized by its deep connection to the country's historical and cultural evolution. It reflects the beliefs, values, and artistic expression of early Korean society. Here, Korean literature written before the end of the Joseon dynasty is called classical or traditional. Literature written in Chinese characters Hanja was established at the same time as the Chinese script arrived on the peninsula. Korean scholars were writing poetry in the classical Korean style as early as the 2nd century BC, reflecting Korean thoughts and experiences of that time. Classical or traditional literature written before the end of the Joseon dynasty is often referred to as classical or traditional Korean literature. It provides insights into Korea's cultural and intellectual development during its formative years. The use of Chinese characters Hanja. Early Korean literature was heavily influenced by Chinese culture. When Chinese script Hanja was introduced to the Korean peninsula, it became the primary medium for writing, shaping the foundation of early Korean literature traditions. The poetry in classical style. As early as the 2nd century BCE, Korean scholars composed poetry using classical Korean styles. These works reflected their thoughts, experiences, and the socio-political climate of the time. Cultural influences and themes. Classical Korean literature has its roots in traditional folk beliefs and folklore. These works are profoundly shaped by major philosophical and religious influences, including Confucianism, Buddhism, and Shamanism, which enrich the narratives and themes of the period. Early Korean literature. Early Korean literature reflects the cultural values, traditions, and philosophies of Korea's historical periods. It began as an oral tradition and gradually evolved into written forms, influenced by social, political, and religious factors. Classical Korean literature has its own roots in the traditional folk beliefs and folk tales of the peninsula, strongly influenced by Confucianism, Buddhism, and Shamanism. Begin as an oral tradition. The origins of early Korean literature lie in oral storytelling. where narratives were passed down through generations. These stories often conveyed moral lessons where good was rewarded and evil was punished. Key values such as loyalty to the king, respect for elders, true friendship, and chastity were emphasized, serving as a guide for a moral and ethical behavior. Korean poems were called yanga. Yanga poems during early periods, Korean poetry was called yanga. These were native Korean poems written using a mix of Hanja and native Korean phonetic system. Yanga were often deeply spiritual or reflective, addressing themes of nature, love, and devotion. A new form of poem developed after the Goryeo dynasty and was called Shiju, a three-line poem written in Hangul and gained wide acceptance. After the Goryeo dynasty, a new poetic form called Shiju emerged. This three-line poem, written in Hangul, became widely popular due to its simplicity and accessibility. Shiju expressed themes ranging from personal reflection to philosophical musings, and played a significant role in making literature available to a broader audience. Modern Korean literature. Modern Modern Korean literature marks a significant transition from traditional literary forms to more contemporary styles, reflecting the cultural, political, and social shifts of the time. The Enlightenment period played a pivotal role in shaping this transformation. The first period of the modern Korean literature is often called Enlightenment. The Enlightenment period, known as the first phase of modern Korean literature. This era introduced Western influences, leading to the establishment of Western-style schools and the rise of newspapers. These platforms provided new opportunities for spreading ideas and fostering modern literary trends. Introduced the Western-style schools and newspaper emerged. Biographical works. During this period, many biographies were published, with the main characters often depicted as heroes who embodied courage, resilience, and progressive ideas. These works aim to inspire societal reform and personal growth. Many biographical works were published. The main character was often depicted as a hero. Contemporary Korean literature. Contemporary Korean literature reflects the struggles and evolution of Korean society, particularly during the colonial period 1910 to 1945 and its aftermath. This era is characterized by experimentation, self-reflection, and adaptation to new realities. During the colonial Korea 1910 to 1945, free speech and press were restricted, thus influencing the literature. Literature focused on self-discovery and increasingly on concrete reality. Many novelists experimented with new literary style and techniques. In 1919, Kim Tong-in and Kim Hyuk founded the literary. Colonial influence on literature. During the Japanese occupation, free speech and press were restricted, which deeply impacted Korean writers. Literature became a subtle means of resistance, focusing on self-discovery and the concrete realities of life under colonial rule. Themes of identity, oppression, and resilience were prominent. Experimentation with literary styles. Many novelists began experimenting with new literary styles and techniques. Moving away from traditional forms, writers explored modernist approach and sought to innovate in storytelling to capture the complexities of the era. Funding of literary magazines. In 1919, Kim Tong-in and Kim Hyuk founded the literary magazine Shanayu, or Creation. This magazine provided a platform for modernist and experimental works, fostering a community of writers dedicated to advancing Korean literature. The literary magazine appeared during 1920s and 1930s were the basis for the future development of modern Korean literature. The period of 1920s to 1940s was a pivotal era in shaping contemporary Korean literature, marked by the rise of literary magazines, the exploration of intellectual struggles, and the restrictive influence of Japanese colonial rule. Almost all the magazines were ordered to discontinue publication in 1940s as the Japanese tightened the grip with the spread of their aggressive war to Pacific. With the escalation of Japan's Pacific War, the colonial government tightened its grip on Korea, enforcing stricter ideological control. Almost all literary magazines were ordered to create publications, silencing a crucial avenue for literary and intellectual expression. This marked a significant setback for the growth of Korean literature. Many novels of the 1920s centered around themes of the suffering of intellectuals. Themes of suffering and struggle, novels of the 1920s often depicted the suffering of intellectuals, highlighting the internal and external conflicts faced by educated Koreans under colonial rule. These works explore themes of alienation, identity, and resilience, providing a vivid portrayal of the challenges faced by Korean society. The Korean literature was directly affected by the Japanese government's strengthening ideological coercion during 1930s. The impact of Japanese colonial ideology, Korean literature during this time was directly shaped by the Japanese government's ideological control. Writers were often coerced into aligning with imperial propaganda, while others resisted through subtle forms of literary differences.